Have you ever let one small moment of anger ruin your entire day? A single hurtful comment, an unfriendly look, or a seemingly insignificant action, and somehow, you carried that feeling with you for hours, sometimes even for days. You kept working, you continued with your daily routine, life went on, but deep inside, something didn't feel right. A quiet irritation lingered beneath the surface, a kind of emotional turbulence that is difficult to describe. You may still smile, but you're not truly happy. You may lie down to rest, but your mind never really settles. And here's the strange part: the person who upset you may have forgotten the whole incident long ago, yet you are still holding on to it. So who is really suffering? Most people believe, I'm angry because someone else was wrong. But the deeper truth is this: we don't suffer because of what happens to us. We suffer because of how we respond to what happens. Anger does not live inside another person's words. It lives inside the way we interpret them, the stories we create, and the attachments we refuse to let go of. Imagine two people hearing the exact same sentence. One laughs and moves on, the other stays angry all day. So where is the real problem? Not in the words themselves, but in the mind that receives them. Fortunately, there is a way to break this endless cycle of anger, stress, and suffering. You don't have to win every argument. You don't have to prove that you're right. You don't have to change other people. All you need is compassion. When many people hear the word compassion, they imagine someone who is weak, someone who simply accepts everything, someone who gets taken advantage of, someone with no backbone. But that couldn't be further from the truth. True compassion is not allowing others to do whatever they want. It is understanding another person's suffering, without responding with more suffering. Compassion doesn't make you weaker, it makes your strength wiser. Human beings are naturally wired to protect the ego. When someone insults us, our first instinct is often to fight back, to defend ourselves, or to attack. Compassion is not an automatic reaction, it is a conscious choice. And like every meaningful skill, it must be practiced, because compassion can accomplish what force never can. Force can make people silent, but it cannot make them understand. Force can win an argument, but it cannot build a relationship. Force can control behavior, but it can never touch the human heart. Only compassion has the power to transform people from within. These changes may seem subtle at first, but over time they become profound. Here are 11 remarkable benefits of compassion, each revealing how this gentle quality can enrich every aspect of our lives. 1. Peaceful and restful sleep. Anger is like a slow-acting poison. It may not destroy you overnight, but little by little, it drains your energy, steals your peace, and exhausts your heart. A person who goes to bed holding on to resentment rarely falls asleep with a calm mind. Instead, the same thoughts keep repeating. Why did they say that? I should have answered differently. Next time, I'll prove them wrong. The body may lie in bed, but the mind keeps fighting invisible battles, and when the mind cannot rest, the body cannot truly recover. Compassion changes that. When you choose to let go, you are not excusing someone else's behavior, you are freeing yourself from carrying unnecessary pain. Your bed becomes a place of peace, instead of another battlefield. 2. Waking up with a lighter heart. The way you end your day often determines how you begin the next one. If you fall asleep filled with frustration, you are likely to wake up with the same emotional weight. Your body has rested, but your heart has not. On the other hand, when you end the day with forgiveness, acceptance, and compassion, you wake up feeling lighter. The world hasn't changed, your problems may still be there, but your experience of life has completely changed. Sometimes, peace is not about changing your circumstances, it's about changing the heart that experiences them. 3. Fewer nightmares. Our dreams often reflect the condition of our minds. A person living with constant fear, stress, or anger, is more likely to dream of conflict, being chased, falling, or losing control. The subconscious simply continues what the conscious mind has been practicing all day. But a compassionate heart creates a different inner world. The mind becomes softer, calmer, less defensive. As inner tension fades, dreams often become gentler as well. Perhaps not every night, but over time, the mind begins to rest more deeply. 4. Becoming naturally loved by others. Have you ever met someone who instantly made you feel comfortable, not because they were rich, not because they were famous, not because they were perfect, but because you felt safe around them? They listened without judging, they spoke without hurting, they cared without expecting anything in return. That is the quiet power of compassion. People naturally trust those who don't constantly criticize, compete, or make them feel small. Compassion creates an invisible message that says, "You are safe with me," and in today's world, that kind of safety is incredibly rare. 5. Creating a positive environment. Human beings influence one another, not only through words and actions, but also through emotional presence. Have you ever walked into a room where everyone seemed tense? No one had to say anything, you could simply feel it. Now imagine entering another room where someone peaceful is present. Their calmness quietly spreads to everyone else. Arguments soften, voices become gentler, people breathe a little easier. Compassion works the same way. It creates an atmosphere that encourages kindness, patience, and understanding. You may never see this energy, but you can certainly feel its effects. 6. Experiencing less harm. People sometimes misunderstand this teaching. Compassion does not mean nothing bad will ever happen to you. Life will always contain challenges. However, a compassionate person tends to create fewer unnecessary conflicts. They speak more carefully, they react less impulsively, they avoid turning small disagreements into lifelong battles. As a result, they naturally experience fewer enemies, less hostility, and fewer situations that escalate into harm. This is not superstition, it is simply the natural law of cause and effect. When we plant seeds of kindness, we are far less likely to harvest hatred. 7. Avoiding unnecessary conflict. Not every argument deserves your attention, not every criticism requires a response, and not every mistake needs to be corrected immediately. One of the greatest forms of wisdom is knowing when to speak, when to remain silent, and when to simply let go. Many people believe that winning every debate makes them stronger, but in reality, constant conflict only drains our energy, damages relationships, and disturbs our peace of mind. Compassion teaches us to pause before reacting. Instead of asking, "How can I prove I'm right?" we begin asking, "Will my words create more understanding? Or more suffering?" Sometimes, walking away is not a sign of weakness, it is a sign of maturity. The strongest people are not those who win every battle, they are the ones who know which battles are not worth fighting. 8. A stronger and more stable mind. Many people assume that an angry person is powerful, but often, the opposite is true. A person who is easily angered is also easily controlled. A single insult, one careless comment, one unpleasant situation, and suddenly, their emotions take over, their peace disappears, their decisions become impulsive, their judgment becomes clouded. Compassion creates a different kind of strength. It gives us the space between what happens and how we choose to respond. Instead of reacting automatically, we respond with awareness. That small pause is where true freedom begins, because real strength is not controlling others, it is learning to control ourselves. 9. Your face reflects your heart. The mind and the body are deeply connected. When the mind is constantly filled with stress, resentment, or anger, the body quietly reveals it. The face becomes tense, the eyes lose their warmth, even a smile can begin to feel forced. But a compassionate heart changes something remarkable. People who live with kindness often develop a natural gentleness. Their eyes become softer, their expressions become calmer, their presence becomes more comforting. This is a beauty that no cosmetic product can create. It is the beauty that grows from inner peace. As the old saying goes, Your face tells the story of your heart. 10. Facing death with greater peace. Death is something every human being will eventually face. No wealth, no success, and no amount of power can prevent it. The question is not whether we will die. The question is how we will meet that final moment. A person who has spent a lifetime holding on to hatred, regret, or resentment often reaches the end with a heavy heart. Old wounds remain open, old anger remains unresolved, the mind struggles to let go. But a person who has practiced compassion has already learned the art of releasing. They do not cling as tightly, they forgive more easily, they carry fewer emotional burdens, and because there is less to hold on to, there is less to fear. Compassion prepares us, not only for a peaceful life, but also for a peaceful farewell. 11. Planting the seeds of a better future. Every thought, every word, and every action is like planting a seed. Some seeds grow into suffering, others grow into peace. Compassion is one of the most beautiful seeds we can plant. Perhaps its results do not appear immediately, perhaps no one notices your kindness today, but kindness is never wasted. Sooner or later, it bears fruit. Sometimes it returns through the people we have helped, sometimes it returns through unexpected opportunities, and sometimes it quietly transforms our own hearts. Every act of compassion helps shape the future, both our own and the future of those around us. The world changes, one compassionate choice at a time. The 11 benefits of compassion are not magical rewards, they are the natural consequences of living with greater wisdom, greater patience, and greater love. Compassion changes the way we sleep, the way we wake, the way we dream, the way people feel around us, the way we respond to conflict, the way we carry ourselves, and ultimately, the way we experience life itself. It does not remove every difficulty, but it changes the person who walks through those difficulties, and sometimes, that changes everything. Understanding compassion is one thing. Living it is another. The greatest lessons in life are often learned not from theories, but from real experiences. So before we conclude, let me tell you a simple story, a story that beautifully illustrates how a single act of compassion can transform not only one person's heart, but an entire life. There was once a man, well known for his explosive temper. The smallest inconvenience could make him furious. A delayed reply, a careless comment, someone disagreeing with his opinion, that was all it took. At first, people tried to understand him. They told themselves, he's just having a bad day. But as time passed, their patience slowly disappeared. Friends stopped calling, co-workers avoided him, his relationships became strained, his work suffered, and most importantly, he wasn't happy. Every day felt like another battle, not with the world, but with his own mind. One day, he met an old Buddhist teacher. The man expected a long lecture, he expected advice, perhaps even criticism. Instead, the teacher simply looked at him, and asked one quiet question: "Are you tired of carrying your anger every single day?" The man said nothing. For the first time in many years, he became completely silent. No one had ever asked him that before. He had always believed that other people were the source of his suffering, but in that moment, he saw something different. His anger wasn't punishing other people, it was punishing him. He realized he had been carrying a heavy burden that no one had asked him to carry. From that day forward, he decided to try something new. Whenever anger arose, he refused to react immediately. Instead, he paused, he took a slow breath, and silently asked himself, could this person also be suffering? At first, it felt almost impossible. His old habits kept returning. Sometimes he failed, sometimes he lost his temper again, but he didn't give up. Little by little, that small pause became easier, his reactions became gentler, his understanding grew deeper, he listened more, judged less, forgave more quickly, and slowly, his life began to change, not because the world had changed, but because the way he saw the world had changed. Many people think compassion requires extraordinary acts. It doesn't. Compassion often begins with something incredibly simple: speaking a little more gently, listening a little more carefully, being a little more patient, choosing silence instead of another argument, choosing understanding instead of another judgment, choosing forgiveness instead of another wound. These small decisions, repeated every day, gradually reshape who we become. Feeling angry is part of being human. Everyone experiences it. The problem isn't anger itself. The problem is what we choose to do with it. We cannot always control what happens around us, but we can learn to control what happens within us. Compassion is not weakness, it is emotional courage. It is choosing wisdom. When anger feels easier, it is choosing peace. When revenge feels tempting, it is choosing love. When fear asks us to hate, and that choice has the power to transform an entire life. You do not need to change the entire world to create a better world. You only need to change the way you respond to it. Every kind word, every patient moment, every act of forgiveness is a quiet revolution, because every time compassion replaces anger, the world becomes a little less painful, not only for others, but for you. In the end, the greatest victory is not defeating another person, it is overcoming the anger, fear, and hatred within ourselves, because true strength has never been measured by how loudly we fight, or how many arguments we win. True strength is measured by how deeply we can love, even when life gives us reasons not to. So today, before reacting in anger, pause for just a moment, take one slow breath, look with understanding, choose compassion. You may discover that the person most in need of your compassion has been yourself all along. The strongest weapon is not anger, it is compassion, for anger may silence another person for a moment, but compassion has the power to transform a heart for a lifetime. Thank you for watching. If this message touched your heart, may you carry a little more compassion into your life today and share it with someone who may need it most. Peace begins with one heart, one choice, and one act of kindness at a time.